fun to add. So today just I will share my knowledge on the topic that's the diversity and conservation of tropical lichens along the Western Ghats of South India. So just look at this picture. Yeah. So just when you look at this picture, so you can get an overview that. So what are the organisms maybe present on the earth? So just look at these pictures and you can get an idea how the biodiversity are across the country or across the world or globe. So all the living organisms are present over this world, and they will have a each one have interact within their own environment or ecosystems. Just this is an statistical point of view. So around more than 1.8 million of species on the earth. So among that, the around 2 lakhs 87,000, that means approximately 3 lakh species of plant species are known from the world, and also around more than 1.35 millions of animals are there. And when we look at coming to the biodiversity of India, we will have a huge biodiversity hotspots. That means almost four biodiversity hotspots are present in India. They may contribute the biodiversity in a larger scale. That's especially the Himalayan region or maybe Indo-Burma region, Western Ghats and Sundarlands. All these are the major four mega biodiversity hotspots of India. They are largely contributed for the biodiversity of Indian continent. So just from the point of view, just seven mega biodiversity countries, India is one of the among the 17 mega biodiversity country among the world, and are approximately 45,000 species of plants are recorded from that. Around 19,450 species of angiosperms are recorded from the India, and around 48 species of gymnosperms are recorded. But when we look at the from the point of view, these whatever the angiosperms or gymnosperms, they are the higher forms of the plants. But if you take the cryptogams, that is lesser known plants, that may be including of algae, fungi, bryophyte, and pteridophytes, but very less group of these organisms are recorded still now. So especially when we take the biodiversity of India, so especially my focusing aspect is the Western Ghats, because the Western Ghats is one among the four biodiversity hotspot of India, and also they occurs in a almost 1,600 square kilometers along the west coast of India, that covering the states of Karnataka, Kerala, Goa, Maharashtra, and part of the up to Gujarat. That means from Kanyakumari to the Kutch of the Gujarat, there is a long stretch is there, and there will be a one small gap that's in a Palghat gap. Otherwise, the continuous stretch of the very good forest occurs in these Western Ghats patch and contributed for the biodiversity of India. And when we take the bioprospecting values of this hotspot region, so almost it's ranked fifth in the world. Just look at these statistics. That means bioprospecting means how much of we can be get benefit from those biodiversity hotspot. So among that, the Western Ghats is well ranked. It is in a fifth rank in the world level. So when we look at the vegetation of these areas, especially they consist of both grasslands, scrubby forest, evergreen, semi-evergreen, deciduous forest, different kinds of forest. Among that, the one characteristic forest is there. That's actually the Shola forest. Shola forest means there will be a mountain with the valleys. In the mountain, you can find the grasslands, and in the valleys there will be a lushy evergreen forest will be there. So and these are having the good climatic conditions, and just look at these pictures, you can get an overview ideas of marshy lands and grasslands will be there, and evergreen forest. So all these will be contributed for the rich diversity. And what I told, there's a shola forest with a high altitude. So these are some high elevated regions of the Western Ghats. That's especially different states have the different points, especially in the Kerala and Karnataka, Mullengiri in Chikmagaluru district of Karnataka, and also Pushpagiri and Mahabaleshwar hills of Maharashtra, and Kochari of Karnataka, and Munnar, that's actually in Kerala. So all these are the, and especially some part of the even Tamil Nadu, they consist of the high peak elevations. These elevations will be very characteristic with the Shola forest, because that's the main characteristic features of these Western Ghats, and they will be more contributed for the different group of biodiversity. So in the today's session, I will more focusing on the biodiversity of the lichens. That means the diversity of the lichens and their conservation aspects, especially focusing on the Western Ghats. Many of you hear the word lichens. What exactly these lichens? The lichens are the symbiotic association of algae and the fungi. The one group that's the algal partner is the photosynthetic partner, and another one partner that's a fungi that's actually act as a mycobiote. So both partner combinedly to form a single group that's well known as the lichens. The lichens is definitionally symbiotic association of a two partner. That's the one is algal partner and the one is a fungal partner, mutually symbiont to produce the one group called as the lichens. So when we take the lichens, morphologically they will have a different forms. Generally we will identify, just look at this picture from the left to right, that's a crustose form. So this is a tightly adhered to the substrate, and another that's a squamulose form is there. This is actually intermediate form between the crustose and the foliose, and another that's another one form foliose lichen, that's a leafy like lichens will be there. They are loosely adhered to the substrate with the help of rhizines, and dimorphic forms are there, and also the fruticose lichen. Generally when we study the lichens, majorly that's a crustose, foliose, and the fruticose lichens, and even in between that's a squamulose, dimorphic, and also the pendulous forms of lichens are there. When we take the crustose, they are tightly adhered. Tightly adhered means you cannot differentiate the substrate and the lichens. And when we take the folios, they will be intermediate, that's easily you can take out from that substrate. And the fruticose, they are hanging in nature. So when we take the lichen diversity across the India, just this graphic can be find it out. So around more than 2,910 species of lichens are reported from India. So they consist of 46 variety, 2 forma, and 6 subspecies. So totally it's around 2,964 species are recorded in India. So among that will be contributed for 14.5% of the lichen diversity of the world, and almost these whatever the 2,960 species are recorded, they belong to 406 genera and 79 families. Among that, around 19% are endemic to India. That's very important aspect when you take the biodiversity of any group of organisms. So this is how the lichen diversity along the different state of the India. The large number of lichens are recorded from Uttarakhand, and that is followed by the Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and Kerala, Karnataka. So likewise, and even some of the states still now did not explore the lichen diversity across the India. Especially when we take the lichen diversity, because these are the very lesser known group of the plants, but very few people are working on the lichen diversity in India. So this is how the different iconogeographical of India represented with the different numbers of species in each region. So when we take the contribution from the different biodiversity hotspots, that's from Western Himalayas and Western Ghats, and also Northeast regions, Andaman Nicobar Islands. So there will be different numbers of lichens are recorded, but very interesting aspects, especially more number of lichens are explored from the Northeast India and Himalayan regions. So this is very interesting aspects of lichen diversity across the India. And when we take the lichen diversity or the luxuriant growth, you can be find in the especially in the Himalayan regions, and in the Western Ghats region you can find the number of lichens are diversified. That means there will be characteristic features, that means both macro and micro lichens will be there in the Western Ghats. These are the different lichen growth forms and the substrate forms, and also the functional group diversity along the India. So especially when we take the fruticose lichen diversity, you can find more diversity in the Western Ghats region. And if you take the crustose lichen city, that will be more diversified of crustose lichen you can find in the Western Ghats. And when we take the foliose lichens are morely luxuriantly grow in the Western Himalayas region. That means the different group of the lichens are occurs along the India. So just coming to the Western Ghats diversity, especially because I am focusing more on the Western Ghats. So Western Ghats lichen diversity start with the studies of the lineage period. That's in 17th century. In his species plantarum, he mentioned the first, that's a Licheni fusiformis. That means currently it is called Rosella fusiformis. That is Rosella montagni. Now it is reported from India first time by the Coronus Linnaeus. This is one species largely growing in some specific habitat, especially in Tamil Nadu, even Karnataka. It will be going. That's the start or the first step of the lichen diversity cataloging in Western Ghats. That is followed by the Montagne and Hooker in 1854, Nylander, and also the Mull. So they are contributed, but they are all the foreign lichenologists. They contributed for the Western Ghats lichen diversity, but later on the stage there is a various institute has to started to study the lichens, especially the first lichen diversity of the Western Ghats start with the study of the Dr. D.D. Avasthi. He is well known as the father of Indian lichenology. So he has started to collected various lichens from the Western Ghats and also from the Nilgiri biosphere region. That's a part of Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. In that Nilgiri biosphere, he has largely collected lichens and he has written a number of papers on the lichen diversity of the Western Ghats. And he is well known as the father of Indian lichenology. And apart from that, there is a one another person, that's a PG Patavardhan from Agarkar Research Institute. He has also contributed for more number of cataloging the lichen diversity, especially the crustose group of lichens, because there are crustose group is very difficult to identify. He worked on the graphidaceous form, Thyllotromataceous, and various other group of the lichens from the Western Ghats, and he has also published a number of papers from Kerala, Karnataka, and Maharashtra regions of Western Ghats. Now look at the current status of the lichen diversity along the Western Ghats. There are about 1,473 species of lichens are reported from the Western Ghats. They belong to the 205 genera and 54 families. Among that, the whatever the lichens that's reported around the 1,000 species, more dominated with the crustose lichens. This already I showed in the first map. There's a large number of crustose lichens are recorded from the Western Ghats when compared with the other two forms, that's the foliose and fruticose form. So around 1,043 taxas of crustose lichens were recorded from the Western Ghats, and that is followed by foliose species. Around 362 species of foliose lichens are recorded, and around 68 species of fruticose lichens were recorded from the Western Ghats. So, and important aspects here, around 266 species of lichens are endemic to Western Ghats. When we take the lichen diversity of the different forms, that's especially I already told, the lichens is association of the that's algal and fungal association. Among that, there are different types of the algae are association with that. Especially when we take the shola forest, in that the cyanolichens are luxuriantly grown, because the cyanolichens means they consist of the symbiotic partner as the nostoc or cyanophycean members. They will be more supported for the bark of these trees. That's especially usually shola forest with the luxuriant growth of rainfall and also temperature will be there. So they may be supported for the growth of these cyanolichens in the Western Ghats. And whatever the different states along the Western Ghats, if we take, the large number of lichens are reported from the Tamil Nadu. That's around 933 species of lichens. Highest number of lichens are recorded from the Tamil Nadu when compared with other states, as the Kerala, Karnataka, and Maharashtra regions. And a very few species of lichens are reported from the Gujarat. Especially recently, some of the studies has gone through that in the Gujarat and Goa, but earlier very less explored in Goa and Gujarat regions of Western Ghats. Especially there are different groups, that's a graphidaceous, formula lichens and foliose lichens were dominated around 43%, and graphidaceous and 36% of formula lichens were recorded from the Western Ghats region. When you take the endemicity, the high richness, that's 28% of the lichen endemicity occurs in this region. Many of them are neo-endemic to that region. And when we take the different generic form of lichens, that's especially in the evergreen forest, is dominated with the leptogium, cococarpia, parmotrima, and heterodermia species. When we take the different substrate preference of these lichens, Corticolous lichens were dominantly occurs. They are about 40% total diversity contribution will be given by the corticolous lichens, and saxicolous is around 26%. And important, some of the corticolous lichens are Dirneria, endocarpon will be there, and Parmotrimagarium they will be represented, and especially the leptogium. This is one of the cyanolichens are recorded. Even around 18% of the terricolous lichens were recorded from these Western Ghats region. That's the Cladonia, Ceteria. These are the some terricolous, that means the lichens grow on the soil. They are recorded. So this is what I say. That's a large number of lichens are recorded from Tamil Nadu. That is followed with the Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Goa regions. And some of the very interesting fact that's already told, that's 23% are endemic and 73.8% are neo-endemic category. And very interesting aspect, around 38 genera are represented by only one species in these areas. These are the what I told, the some of the genera commonly occur in the Western Ghats. That's the Parmotrima, Usnea, Tilostachys, and Pseudocephalaria. All these species are recorded from the Western Ghats. When we take the diversity, that's growth forms of the lichens, the crustose were dominated, but that's followed with the foliose and fruticose lichens. Just look at this pie chart, you can very easily get it out. And when we take the substrate preference of these lichens, corticolous around 62%, that is followed by the saxicolous, folicolous, and also lignicolous, and even some musicolous lichens, and even some of the other substrate will also contribute for the lichen diversity of the Western Ghats. These are some common lichens, that especially the cyanolichens, some of them are, and graphidaceous, these are the Thylotramataceous lichens were there. These are leptogium, these are cyanolichens, the first left side corner all are the cyanolichens, and also Pinocarpus lichens were largely recorded. These are all the majority of them are the crustose lichens in this picture, and these are all the foliose lichens were largely recorded from the Western Ghats region. So these are the 10 dominated families of the lichens were recorded from the Western Ghats. That's first is a large number of graphidaceous species are there. That is for Formulaceae, Physaceae, Pyramidaceae, and Orthoniaceae, and Ramalinaceae. All these are largely contributed for the lichen diversity in the Western Ghats, and especially Formulaceae with the 22 genera. That's very interesting aspects we have recorded from the Western Ghats. And these are 10 dominated genera of the Western Ghats: Graphis, Porina, Pyronella, and Parmotrima, Pertusaria, Lecanora, Usnea. All these are some dominated genera that will be occur. And I already told the lichen diversity varies with the altitude preference, and even the Western Ghats have the large number of peaks. In the third slide, I think I have shown that which are the peak occurs in the Western Ghats. So very interesting aspects when you take the diversity of these lichens. Just look at these graphs that started with the lower altitude, and when we reach the maximum diversity at the particular altitude, that's around 2000 to 2500 altitude, and it will be again started to decrease with the increasing the altitude. So that means in the lower altitude also very number of lichens will be there, and in higher altitude also there. But the maximum number of lichen diversity around that's recorded from the 1500 msl to 3000 msl. That's very interesting. That's only I told the number of high peak mountain will be present in the or occurs in the Western Ghats. They will be more contributed for the lichen diversity. These are some genera what we have observed in the Western Ghats region. That's the Parmotrima, Ramalina, and Heteroderma. All these things. The up to this we have identified the what are the how much of diversity occurs in the Western Ghats region, and we have faced with the threats to these lichens. When we have to be know the diversity, and we want to conserve these lichen diversity in these regions, so we have to be know the what are the problems or the threat to this lichen diversity in the Western Ghats. The increasing the population, everyone, all of you know that the population is a main threat to biodiversity. The increasing the population required urbanization, industrialization, even the ecotourism. They may lead to the destruction of habitat also, and hydroelectric project, especially when I come to the Karnataka. Large number of these forest areas submerged with the hydroelectric project and mining activities and road congesting and other activities. uh, we can you can be asked that what is the correlation between these hydroelectric project or the mining activity with the lichen diversity, because lichens are occurs on specific substance. Especially when you take the Western Ghats, there will be a lichen diversity influence with the microclimatic condition. What I told, that's shola forest. They are characteristic forest, and they will have the lichens with the specific microclimatic regions. In the later slide, I will show which are the those hotspot regions of the lichen diversity in these Western Ghats, and we can go for the conservation practices. So another one main region, that's a habitat fragmentation. I already told there is a gap between the Palgat gap. There is there, and due to the increase in the population or due to other regions, you can be find the various habitat fragmentation occurs in the Western Ghats, especially these lichens. They have the smaller size organisms, and they will be dispersed through the vegetative propagules or just by sharing their symbiote partner. When the fragmentation habitat will occurs, they are restricted to the particular community or the particular regions. When we cut down that forest areas, and definitely whatever the group of the lichens occur on those regions, 100% without the documentation they will be disappear from those areas. And another one important problem is the agriculture practices. Various types of agriculture practices are occur in those regions, especially constructing the forest areas, and practice the agriculture practices and share into the next year they will, or after 10 years they will shift to the niche place, that's usually called zoom cultivation. Those type of agriculture practices will also affect on the lichen diversity. And especially these forest fires will regularly occur in a shola forest. Especially in recently we find the forest fires in Mulayangiri region and also in the BR Hills region. They will be affect especially on the terricolous lichen. Sometimes what happens when the forest fire occurs, just burn with the grasses, and along with the grasses you can be some of the lichens that will grow on the rocky surfaces and even the soil, they will be get destroyed. That may also impact of the forest fire on the lichen diversity. And the upcoming project, that's actually the climatic change and air pollution is more severely threat on the lichen diversity, because the so many species of lichens are very sensitive to the air pollution. Generally we can liken as called as a forest health indicator. So when the increasing in the air pollution concentration, various number of lichen species are generally disappear from that particular areas. So that's why nowadays, due to the various impact or use of the vehicles or so many reasons, the air pollution is increasing. So that may also impact on the lichen diversity of the Western Ghats. Just these are some pics what I taken during my observations or the studies. So these are the some of the threats occurs of the lichens occurring to the lichens of the Western Ghats, especially the construction activities or timber yielding is very very impact, because when we cut the trees, the complete lichens will get out with the timbers, because the general lichens grow on the particular substrate. When we cut down the host plant, it cannot be survive. Even forest fire, agriculture extension activities, all will be impact. Construction of roads, collection of bamboos, and also the harvesting. This is a picture taken from the BR Hills a little bit long back ago. So these number of lichens are very very slow growth rates. Just 1 to 10 centimeter will be grow in 1 or 2 years. If you harvesting in these large scales, that may be impact on the lichen diversity. And mining activities mainly affect on the saxicolous lichens, because the entire the life cycle will be completed on the depend on the rocky surfaces. When we done these type of the mining activities, definitely they will be get impacted with these activities. And various problems when we come to the documenting or the recording these lichen diversity along the Western Ghats, especially when we take going to the conservation aspects, very very difficult for to practice this conservation aspect, because we cannot get the proper data of the lichen recorded along the Western Ghats. Nowadays some of the paper has reported that the lichen this number will be there, and so, but accurate taxonomic expert of the lichens are not found in the Western Ghats region. And even young generation will not interested, because of the these lichens are small microscopic, and it is very difficult to take out the practices to identify with the microscope, because nowadays the students are more fascinating about the animals and other groups. But these lichens are smallest, and you need the lens and other laboratory basic equipment to study, and with the large number of time you have to be expense, you have to be in the field, you have to be study and all these things. So that's why some of the lacunas will be there, and you cannot get the proper floras. Just look at in the search in the website also, you cannot get even single flora for the Western Ghats. Generally you can get the lichen flora of India and Maharashtra and even the Sundarbans region, but you cannot get any specific lichen flora to Western Ghats. Just like angiosperm flora, you cannot get the flora for the Western Ghats. And also very few number of field guides and checklists available to the lichen diversity of the Western Ghats. And sometimes when you take the especially commercial values, but the lichens have the commercial values, that's especially they will be used in garam masala, and especially extraction of pigments and manufacture of litmus paper, so and so. But it is very difficult to collect or resynthesize. That's a very very big problem with the lichens. It cannot be or it is very difficult to resynthesize the same lichens what you get in the field in the laboratory. So that's a big task for the lichenologists to overcome these lichen conservation practices. So, and apart from that ecosystem, which type of ecosystem we have to be take for the conservation aspects, and which type of the habitats we have to be focused on the lichens. And another important problem that for cataloging the IUCN species of these categories of the lichens is a very very difficult task, because without the proper previous checklist, no, we cannot say these are the RET species or endangered or threatened species. So we need the specific statistics and also the data recorded to say this is RET species. For that we cannot, even there is no lichen flora is occurs in this region, so that's a difficult task. And other aspects, there's some conservation modern practices. These are some of the lacunas with the lichen conservation practices. That's no proper GPS data is available, and ecological information is not available. Sometimes it is missing the host record. Those who are researchers or experts recorded, sometimes they are not mentioned the host, which host the lichens is occurs, and checklist is not available. And sometimes the majority of them are the crustose lichens recorded from these regions. So these are some RET species practiced with the recent studies, but very few number of lichens say that's endemic to Western Ghats, not yet reported, and all these species. But apart from that, it is a very difficult task to identify what are the RET species of lichens in the Western Ghats. This actually the checklist belongs to complete whole lichen of RET species of lichens of West India. Among that, very few species are endemic, and they are considered in a RET category in the lichen checklist of India. Okay, so next, these are all the problems. How to overcome these problems? That's a very interesting and challenging task to conserve the lichens in the Western Ghats. So with the practicing, these are some of the aspects. That means when the researcher has to start the studies, they have to be collect the quantitative data and practicing the biomonitoring practices and categorize the lichens in endemic, rare, and RET species, and to take up some of the population biology studies, and especially regulating with the economic. What I in the previous picture I showed, large number of lichens are collected from particular regions, especially from BRLs and Tamil Nadu, Kerala, part of the Western Ghats. They are largely collected for the garam masala preparations. So those type of the collections will have to be regulated with the proper legal actions. And very important aspect, need the spreading awareness to the publics, because when the people know what exactly these groups, and they can be started to planning for the conservation. But without their awareness, it is very difficult, especially the some of the communities they occurs in the Western Ghats. They know that where exactly these lichens are growing. When you go to the BR hills, soligas are there, and take the in Karnataka in various parts, that Siddhi Janangas are there, and even some of the interior part Golis Janangas there, and other tribal peoples are living out, and usually they are collecting these lichens from the forest areas and bringing to the markets. But how they have to be collected without the damaging to the complete lichen thallus, we have to be create some training program for them to train up with the how we have to be collected in a sustainable manner. Those things we have to be take up with the tribal groups and the local communities. Then it is very easy to practicing the conservation of lichens in the Western Ghats. And based on the habitat, because the lichens are very sensitive to microclimate, so we can be some of the areas recognized as a lichen rich areas, that you can be just like a bird sanctuaries or the wildlife sanctuaries. So you can be categorized lichen sanctuaries and create the lichens gardens in the artificial and also in the natural habitat also. So and also take up with the various capacity building activities that may be help for the conservation of lichens in the Western Ghats. So these are the we found that number of around 18 biospheres are there in India, and almost 106 national park and 565 wildlife sanctuaries are there. But very few areas are mainly meant for the lichens diversity in India. So especially the one of the institute, that's the NBRI, is more focusing on lichen conservation practices in India. Just recently, we found that in 2020 only there is an initiation taken with the lichen conservation, especially the one of the lichen garden established in Uttarakhand region. But there is no such type of garden are recorded in the Western Ghats region. And but there is a one botanical garden established started in the TBGRI, sorry, that's in a Malabar Botanical Garden in the Thiruvananthapuram. They started to lichen conservation practices in 2004, but they are not specific to the natural habitat. They collected from the natural habitat, and they are practicing in a just like botanical gardens. And these are some areas we can be recognized for the conservation of the lichen diversity through the centuries, because these are the in these areas large number of lichens are recorded, especially just in Western Ghats region. When you take, that's Mahabaleshwar Hills, Sharavati Wildlife Sanctuary, Nilgiri Biosphere regions, all these are the good areas with the high number of lichen diversity. So from all the from first to the last, just we have learned the what are the how much of lichen diversity occurs in India and especially in the Western Ghats region, and how the distributions are occurs in the different habitat, what are the preference of habitat of the lichens are recorded. But we are facing the various problems to conserve this lichen diversity. So take up with some of the practices, best practices that may lead to the lichen conservations in the Western Ghats, and it will be very, very helpful for the sustainable conservation of the lichens in the Western Ghats. Especially, I'm very thankful for organizers to give me an opportunity to interact with all of you and some of the funding agencies, DST and UGC, and also my supervisor, and also the collaborator, that's Professor Dr. Sanju Naik from NBRI, and Dr. DK Upriti is almost, I consider my guide, and Guruji Sanju Nayak and Upriti, they guided very well for me to take up with these lichen studies in the Western Ghats region. Almost I gone through the I started my lichen career in 2005, so almost it's 15 to 20 years of lichen career. So I learned a lot of things from these Sanju Nayak and Upriti, and also from the various other eminent lichenologists of India and for global. So this lead me to present in front of you all of the lichen status of lichen diversity and their conservation practices in the Western Ghats. Thank you all of you for patience listening. If you have any queries, I'm happy to take up.
Yep. Let's check the if there's any questions. I'll also be putting your email uh, in the description of this webinar so that people can directly contact you later if they have questions as well. And I'll also be sharing the link of the live stream once it's completed. So right now there's no questions. We'll wait about one more minute. If there's no more questions, then we'll end the webinar.
Okay, sure, sir. Even I just put my email ID in the chat box, and later also they can be send a mail or anything. They can be
Yep.
clarified with the questions and answers also. I hope
Yep.
they will get some ideas about what are the status of the lichens in the Western Ghats, and what are the current upcoming practices of lichen diversity in the Western Ghats.
Thank you for the presentation and thank you for everyone for attending. And we have one more webinar starting this Friday. So that link will be shared um, on our social media and to the YouTube. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, sir. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm very happy to all of you to interact with on this session. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.